Hello everyone and welcome to this latest video discussion as part of the RICS Tech Partner Programme. My name is Andrew Knight and I've been with RICS for over 11 years now, and I now work within our knowledge and practice part of the organisation, looking at the effect of data and technology right across the built and natural environment. And with over 110,000 members working worldwide, right across the property life cycle through land, planning and development, construction, brokerage, valuation, finance, building, operation, asset management, and end of life, we clearly have a huge canvas upon which data and technology is having a profound effect. And indeed, our members also work across all the major asset types: land itself, residential, commercial, alternative assets, and infrastructure. So once again, a huge opportunity for using data and tech to improve the service we deliver to our clients worldwide. And today I'm really happy to have Daniele join me from Propenomy and the Malaysian PropTech Association. So please do join me.
Hi Andrew, good afternoon.
Hi, hope you're well, and it's great to have you on this call today. Now, as ever, before we start perhaps talking about too much about the technology, it'd be great to have a bit of a backstory on your career and your role at the association and Propenomy.
All right. Even though I'm living in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur, since 1998, I am originally from Italy, and my background is a mix of macroeconomics and marketing. Both of them studied in the US, in the University of Michigan, in the 80s. I have 2 masters and 1 PhD on this. Since the 80s, since when I was in US, I've been always working in real estate as a consultant for property developers. And after coming over to Malaysia in 98, I becoming a kind of a recognized expert in data reading, market analysis, market demand, that I elaborate in terms of data collection and a mathematic model, Propenomy, as you have been mentioning at the beginning, which does a prediction on economic growth, wealth, job creation, wealth distribution, and consequently property demand. Since 2016, I've been transforming my mathematic model in an algorithm-based modeling, and I'm now developing an AI that will drive the data collection and related analysis. And since 2018, I joined the Malaysian PropTech Association, of which today, since 2021 actually, I've been president. My term will end this year in July, and voices from the corridors are saying that members would like to have me continuing dedicating my time to the association. I don't know if I will see what the popular consent will say.
Thanks very much. Well, from our perspective, it'd be great to hear your overview of the whole kind of property technology, construction technology ecosystem in Malaysia and ASEAN, because obviously you've got a great opportunity to tell us really what that ecosystem looks like.
Absolutely. Southeast Asia is actually Asia Pacific, but more specifically, Southeast Asia is it should be looked at as the big forthcoming new kid in the block, kind of. We have about 700 million people living in the states of ASEAN, of Southeast Asia, with a greatest majority still in young age. 20 to 39 years old are still representing the biggest age group. All of them extremely creative and innovative. And since late 2015, early 2016, a number of technologies, a number of proposed solutions have been started popping up in the market, appearing in the market, above all in Malaysia and Singapore have been the first 2 countries promoting and providing PropTech and Contech related solutions. Later on, Philippines, Indonesia, Vietnam, and Thailand have been joining the tech bandwagon, kind of. The panorama of PropTech and Contech in Southeast Asia is definitely filling up pretty well all the four verticals: planning, construction, transaction, and management. There is because of the market demand is enormously driven by residential real estate. We still have a strong urbanization rate. There are urban centers all around Southeast Asia that are growing and thriving in an unbelievable manner. And this has been consequently bringing up solutions, tech solutions related to transaction, mortgage, management of booking, management of legal aspect of the purchase of properties, very much linked to the residential side. Construction-wise, the industry is very much still on a brick and mortar, literally. They are still using paper and pencil, not even Excel. Most of them at least. So we have a number of interesting solutions that have been proposed, from e-tendering to e-procurement, management of contract, communication platform for consultants. In planning, we have a geospatial mapping with automatic capturing of footfall and analysis of traffic. In transaction, again, we have several very good applications. One of them here in Malaysia, the biggest one, the biggest member also of the association is MHub, and is a very, very well planned and well developed solution. And then we step into the management, which is the sparkling bottle of the PropTech Malaysia, of the PropTech Asia, actually. Sparkling bottle because we have management of short-term staying, we have management of office building, hospital, university, military camp, warehousing, logistic, which are very relevant industries in the area. And above all, is attracting the most of attention because of the lifespan of the possible SaaS model that most of our members are using. So it's a very well developed, creative and innovative, very much demand driven, pain point driven, I would say. And here in Malaysia, luckily, with a very, very strong and consistent support from government authorities. Government in Malaysia has been launching a number of agencies specifically designed to stimulate the growth of tech startups, PropTech, Contech, Agritech, Tourism Tech, Health Tech, and whatever else, providing grants, providing sandbox, accelerators program, scale up program, and more. So, being very honest, the environment here is very exciting, and there is a pretty much bright future in terms of growth of available market in the whole of Southeast Asia. Unfortunately, as a pain point, because not all things are good, otherwise everyone will come here. The pain point is funds, investors. In Southeast Asia, the investors market is still extremely traditional. Looking at property as the most, the safest harbor where to place their saving. Then they look into funds, shares, definitely commodities. Very, very, very little interest in startup funding. So that is one of the big challenges that we have here.
And is that sort of lack of appetite in investment for startups, is that particularly a challenge for property technology, construction technology, or is it a general issue for fintech, for other kind of tech startups?
Okay, fintech is extremely appealing. It's very sexy somehow because deals with a precious good money. And is very strictly regulated by all the central banks. So fintech has been attracting a bit more interest, but if we want to measure the investor appetite for technology, for tech startup, not only PropTech and Contech, in the region compared to US, right? If I want to give a 3 to the region, I should be giving a 15 to US, honestly. It's a matter of a investment education, expectations, and much more. And furthermore, the recent big blob of the past 18 months, starting from WeWork, then Grab, and then several others, getting hyper valued in Nasdaq in US, and falling apart right after, have been creating this kind of suspicious feeling when startups are approaching investors to say, hey, I'm growing, I'm scaling up. Oh, yes, yeah, you scale up first, then I come in later. That is unfortunately the feeling. Somehow, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, I was going to say, aside from the challenge around funding, what are the other challenges that local players face when they either want to start or scale up and build their businesses?
Well, one of the challenges, which I believe is not only typical of Southeast Asia or Malaysia in particular, is that most startups are extremely good in technology and totally nuts in the specific matter. We talk about health tech.
Yeah.
Who should be the person behind an health tech? A doctor, possibly. We talk about property. Who should be the person behind a PropTech solution? Someone with knowledge of the built environment, which instead is not. 95% of our startups are all fantastic, generated, are all founded, by tech people more than property people together with tech people. Now the gap is closing. The gap is filling up because professionals from the market have been start filling up this loophole somehow. But still, this is one of the challenge. And the second one instead is resistance from the market. Resistance from the market in terms of traditional players such as real estate agents or valuers or property manager, still looking very much into carrying on their profession in the traditional manner, still with a lot of question mark, plenty of them more than justifiable, of course, question mark on the applicability and actual scalability of the available solution. Last but not least, government, which is governments in general, which are behind in terms of updating acts and laws and regulation to a totally different market where technology brings in a bigger contribution to the smoothness of operation processes and so on. But nevertheless, we are steadily growing.
So, Daniele, turning to Propenomy, your particular business, talk me through. I know you're doing some interesting work around affordable housing, which is, it's funny how we talk about different regions around the world, but affordable housing is a challenge for every jurisdiction. And do talk us about the work you're doing on that.
Yes, yes, thank you for this question, which allows me to bring something very close to my heart and to my brain, meaning in the last 30 plus years, I've been studying and collecting data on affordable housing and residential development from different areas of the world. I've been lucky enough or daring enough to live, study, work in North America, Central America, South America, Europe, Asia, Asia Pacific, and collecting data on all these. At the end, I start elaborating these data, starting from the first basic question, which is where property are coming from, where the demand for property comes from. Demand for property, of course, comes from wealth and the generation of wealth. So what is generating wealth is demographic growth, urban sprawling, and wealth distribution, of course. So all this, I've been assembling all these data in a mathematical model, which allows me to do quite precise predictions on growth path of urban centers, demand generation based on economic growth, job creation, and of course, earning opportunities made available to the people. Once I've been doing all this, I've been start looking into how to resolve the problem of affordable housing. We all know it's not definitely a Malaysian problem, it's a global problem. We have, I was reading some numbers preparing my presentation for the PropTech London show. I've been reading some numbers that are absolutely astonishing. We are talking about 1.6 billion people within the next 2 years still lacking of a proper place to be called home. I've been doing some research on density of population in Brazil, for instance, comparing a favela, a low-cost flat type of slump or squat type of living compound of less than 1 kilometer square with more than 200,000 people living in. While less than 5 kilometers away, in a 1.2 kilometer square compound of middle high-end residential unit, there is a population of 46,000 people. So hygiene totally missing not only ESG, but the whole of 17 goals of SDG 2030, unsustainable, unhygiene, very dangerous places. So trying to find a solution for this, I've been engaged recently by the Sarawak government under the housing ministry to promote a new type of modeling, which I've been presenting to them recently, less than 2 weeks ago, in which housing becomes only a component service of a much wider action that the local government will proceed, will have towards the B40. We are talking about the second and third, the third and fourth decile of B40, and the first and the second decile of M40. So basically 40% of the Malaysian population and Southeast Asia population addressed in terms of building community first, understanding skill, educating from a basic financial point of view, micro-enterprising them, fighting against urban poverty, which is the first outcome, very negative outcome of the urban sprawl that has been happening in the last 40, 50 years. People moving from rural areas, above all in equatorial countries. You go around rural areas, how we call them here in Malaysia, the kampung in the jungle. People are never starving, but then they move to the city and they suddenly find out that food is no more available as it was available in the jungle. So it's a totally different type of environment. It's a totally different set of challenges requiring a totally different set of skills. So we will build a community, we will create and leverage on existing skills of these people to stimulate and spur their entrepreneurship, micro entrepreneurship, and finally, we will provide them a township not looked at as a product, but a fully integrated service, which will integrate these categories of earners into the higher level one and accelerate the social mobility of the bottom 40. Hopefully, this model that I'm going to briefly present at the London show, unfortunately, they are giving me only 13 minutes. I really don't know how I will be able to transform a one-day presentation in 13 minutes slides. Big challenge, big challenge. But definitely is something that is extremely exciting and very, very, let's say, I'm very optimistic on the outcome, because it's the first time that I see plenty of government agencies, private players, stakeholders of the different industries coming together to work and to define the boundaries of this new modeling.
Indeed. No, it's fascinating that you mentioned that ratio of density of people, because I guess many people are familiar with the Gini coefficient, where you look at overall inequality, but it's interesting to think, well, there should be another sort of equivalent where we look at that density, and obviously some densities won't necessarily imply that there's that level of poor quality of life. But it's interesting to think about that density, because it's clearly an indicator of poor outcomes for people in that way, isn't it? So fascinating.
Precisely.
Yeah. Well, just to finish it, I'd be interested to get your views on the opportunities of how, regions like yourselves, in terms of your PropTech ecosystem, could cooperate and learn, vice versa, from North America, from Europe, because I'm always very mindful that my role is a global one and that innovation is happening all around the world. And I'd be interested in your thoughts on what the future could look like in terms of Malaysia and ASEAN, but also what we could learn from you, and how we could perhaps cooperate with other parts of the world from a kind of PropTech perspective.
Absolutely, is PropTech is becoming PropTech. Let's say the implementation of adoption and implementation of digital transformation is what has been driving the world during the last 3 years, mostly thanks to the pandemic. We have been discovering a virtuality that was totally a virtual way of connecting that was totally unknown to the majority of people. And this has been bringing myself and many others to jump into a sudden expansion of our network, discovering totally new realities in South America or in Central America or in North America. I've been a very active member of Unissu, which is a UK-based platform, using it to connect with the PropTech players from all around the world, exchanging ideas. Very often at 1 or 2 at night, 1 or 2 a.m., I am entering my study and open up my Zoom with my wife, that one day or the other will make me flying out of the window. Because I enter in discussion with US, San Francisco area, or other countries, sharing experience and learning from each other. As you are saying, definitely it has to be a global movement, kind of a global trend that comes will come with a solution for affordable housing, and not only for the built environment in general. And opportunities are here to be taken and to be analyzed both ways. I would say, and I'm saying it as a Western somehow, when I came over in 1998, I was really surprised by the openness and friendliness of Southeast Asia, Malaysian in particular, and this is why I've been choosing this country. Openness in terms of extremely good listener, humble people, very, very not arrogant, not selfish, while unfortunately a good part of Western coming over to Southeast Asia have always been kind of placing themselves as the I know everything, I will explain to you, you do what I say.
Yes.
Arrogant, a bit arrogant, not humble enough to say, okay, guys, this is my idea. Would you mind to share your idea? Because I'm sure that you can learn something from me, but I can also learn something from you, which is the cultural interchange, which is adaptation of existing solutions to different environment with totally different regulations. So if we all players and stakeholders in this market are able to reduce, minimize our ego, at the end of the day, I would say that that we can definitely make the built environment worldwide a much better ecosystem and very highly profitable for everyone, which is what we should be looking at the end of the day, I believe.
No, I think you're right. I think we all have to have the humility to learn from other jurisdictions, from other firms, from other parts of the world, because we're all ultimately facing very similar challenges, whether it's affordable housing, climate change, reducing emissions, making the built environment, perform better. So I think we have shared problems, but we have different contexts sometimes that we can learn from. So, well, it's been fascinating to talk, Daniel. I look forward to seeing you in London, where we're both speaking at the PropTech conference. So for today, thanks ever so much, but look forward to seeing you in London soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm looking forward to become a talkative and writing partner.
Indeed you will.
Thank you indeed. Thank you.